the Danish Sophia over here. Hey, thank you for joining the Escape With Me Book Club. Escape with me, Sam Reiner.
And me, James Reiner.
Into our most recent read. Come with us as we evade reality and go into detail about a new book. We'll be covering the book from beginning to end, so there will be spoilers. Today we're going to Miami, Florida, United States. Published April 15th, 2025, Murder by Cheesecake is the beginning of a new Golden Girls-inspired cozy mystery series. But how does the book hold up to the beloved television show? And can the author pull it off, or is this a pointless cash grab?
It's part of a series?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's already been announced that this is part of a series.
Oh, well, best of luck to him. I hope the next part focuses more on Blanche and Sophia.
That would be pretty cool to balance it out.
Balance it out, yeah, because this book definitely favors Dorothy and Rose.
For sure. But before we get too into it, yeah, I have no idea when the first time I saw the Golden Girls, but it's in the miasma of growing up. I saw I Love Lucy a bunch. Somewhere along the way I found Golden Girls. And I did a dedicated watch, I think back in 2018. I think we decided.
I distinctly recall that we were married and I'd be doing something in the other side of the living room and you'd be watching Golden Girls.
And I think you remember me getting to the end because you mentioned that.
Yes, I saw the end before I went through the whole series. Now, I remember Golden Girls. When I was really young, it would play on...
Nick at Night?
Not Nick at Night yet. It was some other channel. It was reruns.
TV Land?
No, it was like TBS or TNT or USA or something. It was one of those cable news channels, and they were just running reruns of Golden Girls. And I just remember thinking, this is an old person show. I don't want to watch this. And I remember my friend in elementary school being like, hey, let's watch Golden Girls. I'm like, Golden Girls? That's boring. I don't want to watch that. Let's watch cartoons.
And here we are.
Yeah, I thought of that. Like Cheers was up there too. Every time Cheers came out, I was like, oh, this is an old person show. It wasn't later until I was an adult I watched through the whole Cheers series and realized, all right, I see what it was about now. Same with Golden Girls. I was like, wow, this is what I missed out on. This is really good, actually.
Because we were living apart for portions of 2020 and I would come in on weekends. And I remember that was our binge watch. We just both decided, the world's terrible right now. We need something nice and us. And I was like, we need to watch Golden Girls. And we watched the entire show.
We did. Yeah, I guess everyone has that show they binged during COVID. We binged a few, but Golden Girls was one of them.
And you're a fan.
Yeah, I am. I could see all the appeal.
So that's our personal background. But about this author, Rachel Ekstrom Courage, pretty good last name, by the way. Really curious what an ancestor had to do to get the last name Courage. But Rachel is a literary agent living in Pittsburgh. Before this, she published a YA thriller. And she does writing workshops and stuff because she's a literary agent. But I've read books that are plants where the industry is like, this is amazing and not at all a cash grab that we're doing. But I do think she knew the right people from being a literary agent because I was just curious. I was like, why Rachel, of all the people in the world? I'm always curious with IP work. Why have we picked this person? But she seems to be a pretty big fan as well. So that's really exciting for her.
Yeah, there was definitely never a moment where I felt like she doesn't know the Golden Girls. She doesn't understand them. I felt she had a good grasp on them.
Yeah.
Never felt like she didn't know who she was writing.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Fun facts.
Yeah, that was good.
But that's really all I could find about her.
Yeah, I think it's, as you put it, it's because cash grab kind of demeans it. I don't think it's worth that kind of demeaning title, but it's like when you see a sequel to a movie, it's like, I know they're playing it safe. And the fact that the IP is just doing a lot of heavy lifting. It's really what's pulling people in, not the plot.
Yeah, it's definitely advertised as a Golden Girls book.
If you were to take the Golden Girl characters away and replace them with original characters with similar personalities,
it'd be an eh.
It wouldn't pull in people like they know it would. So there's definitely a lot of heavy lifting with the fact that they're using a very recognizable intellectual property.
But this book club does not shy away from IP work. So
again, I don't want to fault it for the fact it's using familiar characters. I think that's totally fine, but I will not use it as an excuse to blind me to any flaws or faults with the book, which I know we will probably touch on a few here.
Yeah, but age level, this is an adult book just because default. But honestly, it's pretty clean.
It's pretty tame.
It's pretty tame. We have content warning murder and kidnapping, and that's pretty much it.
I have one to add to that.
Oh, yeah?
Do not read this if you're planning a wedding.
Oh my gosh, yeah, stress you out more.
It'll be very triggering for you. All kinds of chaos and everything goes wrong with planning a wedding. So if you're about to get married or you're helping someone who's planning a wedding, do not read this book. It will give you immense anxiety. I have no relation to anyone getting married, and the book gave me anxiety about a wedding.
Yeah, that's a big plot point for sure. If you're freaking out about planning a wedding, this book will not help.
No, it will not. Stay away until after the wedding.
But to judge a book by its cover, I love the cover.
The cover is really well done. They knew what they were doing to grab people's attention who might be fans of Golden Girls.
It's so good. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's simple but straightforward. It's not too gaudy, but it's the exact colors and structure it needs to be. It has like a pastel green and pink.
Yeah, which is perfect.
Which is just Golden Girls right there.
Yeah, and I don't know, it has just this really nice 80s vibe.
It does.
It's not like an 80s book.
It looked like the DVD color for a season of the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
If they did an artistic approach to it. Because it has all four of the ladies at top with drawn figured versions, not photos of them.
Drawings,
representations of their face. Portraits, yeah. It's well done, and there's a cheesecake with a knife in it, I think.
Yeah.
But I remember it's eye-catching.
But just all of it's good.
But at the same time, you see it and you know what it is.
It's Golden Girls.
Well, it's heavily IP-oriented. Here's another thing to add to your Golden Girls collection kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Which, if you like Golden Girls, isn't a bad thing.
I mean, it's caught my attention.
If you don't like Golden Girls, it probably won't do anything for you.
So I think it's pretty great. But all I got from it was maybe someone is poisoned by a cheesecake.
Yeah, I thought that might happen in the book.
Because I didn't read the back of the book. But they make a cheesecake and then someone's poisoned by it. And then that's how it happens.
Yeah.
Technically, no one is murdered by cheesecake, actually.
Technically, yeah. I thought someone would get stabbed, but the victim doesn't even get stabbed, really.
No. So, a little bit of a misnomer, but it's attention grabbing. That's what it is. Like, let's be honest. It's attention grabbing.
Immensely, yes.
And it's screaming Golden Girls, because cheesecake.
Yes.
But this book takes an interesting approach in that it has two narrators, and it took me a while to actually notice that, but consistently the book is from Rose's perspective and Dorothy's perspective.
Yeah, I'd say Rose takes the main perspective. Most of the plot of the book centers around her, and Dorothy is like the B plot that supports Rose's story.
But they also tie in together because she's the reason they're being suspected for murder.
Yes, yeah. And Blanche and Sophia, I mean, they're there, but they don't really take much of the narrative. They're just side characters, really, which is a shame.
Yeah.
I don't know. The show does it too, and the problem is it's a TV show, so it's okay for Dorothy and Rose to take center stage because the next episode would be Sophia's story or a Blanche story. But since it's the first book and apparently a series, so it'll hopefully resolve this, but lacking that ability to move on to the next episode, you really feel Blanche and Sophia get overshadowed in this book.
Yeah, a lot of times in the show, it would be two of the women, I'm going to call them girls because they call each other girls, but two of them are in the main plot and then two of them are in the side plot. Like, I'm thinking in my head, Dorothy and Sophia are dealing with Dorothy's illness and Blanche and Rose are trying to figure out how to do their tap dance act without Dorothy in it.
Yeah, and there'd be an episode where it's like centered on one of the girls and the others are just there to support that plot.
Yeah.
Or might be one where they're all kind of playing off evenly. The TV show allows them to do that because it's just the first book and maybe it'll solve it with the later books. You do feel Blanche and Sophia get overshadowed by Rose and Dorothy.
Yes. But we'll just go into the main plot. Rose's niece, who apparently she basically raised, is getting married.
Which in true Rose fashion, she technically is not her niece, it's her cousin. But because everyone older in Rose's family circles always call older women aunt, even though she's cousins with the girl's always seen her like an aunt, and she's always seen her as like a niece.
So the problem is, though, she's getting married, but of course St. Olaf's has like 1,000,005 ridiculous traditions to everyone else. It's not ridiculous to them, as Rose points out continuously. And so Nettie, who's the niece, wants to elope and just say, screw all of it, let's just get married, no hoopla, whatever. But if she does that and she doesn't follow all of the St. Olaf traditions, then she's not going to get her portion of this trust fund that a bunch of people have access to because a lot of people are related. And also Rose is very, very proudly St. Olafian and doesn't understand how anyone would not want to do all of the traditions that are so important to their town.
Yes.
So Rose manages to convince her, hey, come to Miami. Apparently something happened to the hotel.
In St. Olaf. And her niece was trying to avoid Miami because technically her fiance is from Miami, but her fiance, whose family works and lives in Miami, he doesn't like his family and they've been trying to avoid him.
Yes.
So they were wanting to do it in St. Olaf, but then the hotel burned down. Basically, they couldn't do it in St. Olaf. So that's why they were going to elope. And Rose convinced him, no, you should do it here in Miami. I'll take care of everything.
Yes. It's a whole thing, but she manages to convince him, so they're going to do the thing.
Yes. Yes. So that's the A plot. Now the B plot is Dorothy, and very 80s.
Very 80s. Does not want to go to another event, especially a wedding, without a date. All of her friends are going to have dates, and she's just going to be by herself again. And so she decides, and I didn't know this was a thing before this book, but it makes sense, to basically do dating via a VHS dating service.
You didn't know this was a thing in the 80s and 90s?
I did not know this was a thing. I never thought about it.
It was very cliche. It was shown in movies to be very pathetic and last resort eventually, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, so is online dating, but
it was one of those things that, yeah, it's sort of like undilated. When it started, everyone's like, oh, it's so hip and fad. You can date through VHS. But then eventually it became this whole kind of joke where everyone's like, oh, it's so pathetic if you use VHS to date.
There's always something where it's like, you need help meeting people? Lame.
Yeah, and unfortunately, some of the dating VHSs have been made it to social media, and some of the more awkward people,
as memes do.
Yeah, they've been passed around the internet. Unfortunately, they became internet famous a couple decades later. Some really bizarre individuals. So yeah, it's kind of cringe. But this is late 80s, almost early 90s, so it's not cringe when Dorothy does it. It is still a little bit a sign of desperation, which fits the whole Dorothy's sad love life theme in the TV show.
I was a little surprised she did it because of all the people. I feel like, I don't know, sometimes she goes desperate and sometimes she's like, I have standards.
And she does. A lot of them she's like, if they're a certain age, too young, she just fast forwards. It's all because she lands on one that actually seems really nice, which he is.
Although he ends it with something like, if you're a bubblehead, don't even try. And she swoons over that line because she's like, I'm not a bubblehead, but I was immediately like, ew.
Yeah, that was cringe.
Dorothy, I'm worried.
Well, to be fair, that was probably a positive for Dorothy because it didn't Stan leave her for a bubblehead.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's like, good, he's anti-bubblehead.
Yeah, it's her personality to be like, yeah, down with the bubblehead. You live with one. She's very nice.
She's very nice. Yeah, Dorothy, as all the characters, have their flaws.
So that's the thing. She's going to meet this dude. They talk on the phone a bunch and they're going to meet for a lunch date. And let's just knock her out right here. She goes on the date. It seems to be going well, and then he starts acting really weird.
Very weird.
And they kind of have an argument because she's like, clearly you're not interested, so I'll just leave. And he's like, no, I'm totally interested.
He starts asking weird questions, like, doesn't he ask how much she weighs?
Yeah.
Or how old she is, or really inappropriate questions, which at the time were suspect, and since it's a murder novel, you're all like, oh, does this mean something? But really you find out later it was just because he was distracted. I felt it was a bit of a red herring.
Yeah, he said some things very indelicately. Something like, what's your age again? And it was just because he was distracted, but she thought he had a tone like, you're old. And she's like, I'm as old as you are.
Yeah.
Sir.
Which, when you get to the end, you realize why he was so distracted. But at the time, it was so off-putting, so weird, because he starts the date saying, who are you? That I thought, oh, there's something deeper going here. Like, this isn't even him, or he's actually got some ulterior motive. But it ended up really being he was distracted. So all these little hints comments. I read way too into them.
Yes, it was very interesting hearing your theories as we went.
I know. I told her theories halfway through reading it. She just looked at me with a straight face. She's good at not spoiling anything with her facial features.
I got a really good poker face. So I immediately thought he saw someone because he kept hiding behind his menu and like looking over her shoulder or something. And I was like, all right, who walked in? And Dorothy mentioned some business people. And so I was like, is this dude shady?
But yeah, I thought mob or something.
What's going on?
What I thought mob when it mentioned the business people next, but I was like, come on, they're not going to steal from the Rose plot line of her boyfriend from the show.
Oh yeah, running from the mob.
Which I feel like all fans agree that is just a out of left field, very rough interjection of a storyline.
It's so crazy.
People were like, I don't know about this.
But it's okay. It's fine.
It's fine, because it was none of that. It was just literally he was distracted. You learned it later.
Yeah. So we're just going to put a pin in that. So because he's coming to Miami, they come in and Rose is doing her best to find locations. But, you know, this is very last minute and it's Miami of all places.
Yeah.
And so come to find out, the groom's family are hotel moguls. They own a really, really, really nice hotel. So they offer to host everyone for free as long as they have it there.
Which I kind of have one of my gripes to vent, which relates to this. They keep reiterating and implying that, oh, his family wants it their way. His family wants it their way. It has to be their way. They're going to try to domineer and run the... Not really. I felt so many times as like, oh, they're not going to allow Rose to do this. Then they allow Rose to do this. I was like, they don't seem as domineering as they kept implying.
Well, I thought it was going to be a mirrored storyline where Rose is like, they're just pushing their own will on their kid. They should listen to what they want to have.
Oh, so you thought the reverse moral where Rose doesn't realize
she's doing the exact same thing she's accusing his family of.
Which is true, but it'd be like, oh, they're going to take over the whole thing. Or like, well, when Rose holds the tea get together where the families meet, she gets to do a lot of, like, it's her cheesecake presented, a lot of their traditions.
The shower.
When we finally get to the part where when things go so wrong in the wedding that they finally come to her and like, we're going to take over the whole wedding. Even then, they go to the dance club and they do all this stuff still. So I feel like there's never a point where the family ruins anything Rose is trying to do. It felt like not a real threat in the novel.
At the very, very end, they do basically go, all of you are uninvited.
Uninvited, and that somewhat fulfilled it, but mostly I just felt like it was an unfulfilled threat. I never really felt like they were going to follow through with ruining anything Rose does. Really, it's only Rose who ruins everything because of her anxiety.
Yeah, and so that's why I thought at some point she was going to piece together, oh my gosh, this whole time I've been saying that they're ruining everything by just trying to take over and not listening to what they want and just ruining this wedding for them. Rose, that's literally what you're doing. Your niece said she wanted to elope. She didn't want to do all of the St. Olaf traditions. They're over the top and crazy and she doesn't care about them. She could never live in St. Olaf again and be happy. The only reason they end up doing some of them is because for whatever reason, the groom is in love with St. Olaf.
Yeah.
And he wants to be a part of it. He wants all of it. And so I guess big city boy finding small town super charming.
I agree. I thought of the same thing.
It never comes. They are like, you know what? We've changed our minds. We do want all the St. Olaf traditions. And it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but there was a lot of setup with no follow through of what you were expecting.
Yeah.
I felt like that was the whole novel. There were just so many things that like, oh, I see where they're going with this. And it wasn't like a switcheroo or oops, I fooled you. It was always, you didn't feel like the author realized she was setting something up because she just dropped it like it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, Rose isn't going to learn a lesson about how she's doing the same thing.
Because even then, Rose kind of has I realized that all of this is because I feel like I'm not St. Olafian enough because I live in Miami now. And she's like, oh, I'm projecting all of this, that they have to have all these traditions because I want to prove myself to my family.
And that's another example. I don't feel like that goes anywhere. She has those epiphanies, but it doesn't really come to a resolution at the end.
Yeah, he rides in on a donkey and everything.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole novel, really. That might be the core of my gripe. For example, the elders from St. Olaf come to attend the wedding, and these are the elders that make sure all the customs are followed. And they learn that the niece will only get this inheritance from the community that her parents set up for her before they left to pursue their poodle career. It's one of those silly St. Olaf stories from Bros. But the elders are there being very skeptical and negative, saying, oh, are you sure you're going to be able to follow all St. Olaf traditions? And I felt the whole time they were pushing so hard on this. Rose was suspecting, like, why are they pushing so hard on these traditions? It's as if they want me to fail. And you're thinking as a reader, like, oh, there's some kind of plot going on where they don't have the money to give the niece and they want the wedding to fail because they can't pay the money for the inheritance, or, oh, they really don't like the boyfriend and they want to make sure he doesn't get into the community because they're going to learn a lesson about not being snobs. None of that happens.
Yeah, Rose thinks straight up that, oh, you just want to keep the money for yourself. That's why you're making this impossible, because they keep adding things.
I felt like it was building to something and it built to nothing. It really built to nothing. It literally was them like, oh, we've come around out of nowhere. There was no development that suddenly the elders are like, we're so on board now. This is great. And we are not opposed at all to her getting the inheritance and the wedding going without a hitch. It felt like such a shift out of nowhere.
Yeah, the cousins, like, I realized that all this time I've just been trying to test you because we feel like you're not St. Olafian enough because you moved to Miami, which is the same thing Rose feels, and they just make up and it's all fine.
Yeah, that felt weak. It was like the date with Dorothy. It felt like she was setting something up and it never came about in the novel, and you realize, was she even setting something up or she was just kind of diddling around with her plot? It just felt so many things were just dropped that I think as a narrative wise, looking at a narrative structure, it felt like it had a lot of dead weight, especially with a murder mystery. You want things to be concise and kind of feed back into each other, and even red herrings, you want to see how the red herrings fit into the misdirect, into the main plot. But I felt like there were so many things in the story where it's just like, what does this have to do with the main story? It just felt like superfluous add-on.
It felt like she was trying to do, like you said, a red herring with the cousins.
And it ended up being, you could take out that whole plot with the cousins being sticklers about the wedding, and you would really lose nothing to the overall plot. So it felt needless. That's harsh. I don't want to be that harsh to the author, but I think it goes with the whole balance she has to have between invoking the IP and making it feel like a Golden Girls story.
Yeah.
So she has to add stuff like the St. Olaf stuff to really show, I know it's St. Olaf. I know this character, that she's obsessed with St. Olaf. But on the other side, you're like, but it really didn't contribute to the climax of the plot. It didn't contribute it to the murder mystery story, really. Anyways.
It was just another thing on the list, kind of. It felt very separate from the murder mystery plot.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help that they keep splitting up into pairs of two, where one narrator's doing one thing and the other narrator's doing another thing. And it's usually Rose and Blanche and Dorothy and Sophia. Sometimes they switch out, but that's usually the pairing with the two. But yeah, we've gotten this far and haven't even mentioned there's a murder.
Yeah, it all starts when they decide to have tea and cheesecake at the hotel that the groom's parents own, and they keep all of the cheesecake Rose made for the event in a spare cooler because they're doing renovations. And when they open the cooler, there's a frozen dead body in the cooler.
And his face is shoved into a cheesecake.
It is. And they don't know it at the time, but it's later revealed, and this is where all the troubles come, that it looks to be the blind date that Dorothy went on, and it's that guy she was dating. So she becomes super suspect, and it causes where the police keep getting involved with the wedding and keep causing a distraction and bad publicity, which upsets the groom's family, which also upsets the bride and groom and causes stress for the wedding. And Rose is desperately trying to keep the wedding together while Dorothy keeps being accused of being part of this murder mystery, and it just keeps developing like that.
It's crazy.
Yes.
So it's very, very confusing, and the police just keep zoning in on Dorothy. And I will say there is a moment where there's some inner bickering where Rose is blaming Dorothy for all of this, and Dorothy's like, what the heck, I didn't do anything. But Sophia manages to curve it really quickly and be like, hey, we need to work together. It's not Dorothy. It's not Dorothy's fault. Let's solve this, and then you can get your wedding back. And I actually thought that was pretty good because this show does have an issue with so many of the plots being, oh no, the girls aren't going to live together anymore because they're fighting.
So this, and I mentioned this when I was reading the book and I was telling you how my progress was going. There's parts where it felt very forced, but I was divided because a part of me is like, this is bad for a book, but this is on point for a sitcom.
A television show, yes.
Exactly. Forced conflict like this in a book, you're like, oh, this is terrible. This shows the author doesn't know what they're doing.
Like, guys, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm going to blame Dorothy for all the police stuff going on. You're thinking, that's not fair. That doesn't make sense in reality. But then I thought, well, would this happen in an episode of Golden Girls? Yes, it would. And it's because sitcoms get to play by different rules. Unlike a book where you can have plenty of time and pages to really flesh out characters and drama, a sitcom only has 30 minutes. So they have to cut corners. They have to do things to get to tension or drama very quickly.
They're over the top suddenly.
Exactly. So a character gets suspected by the police and the other character is like, this is all your fault. I can't believe you're ruining this wedding.
Storms out of the kitchen.
Exactly. And then the music would play and everyone looks at each other and then it cuts to commercial. Sitcoms are allowed to do this because you want to get through the story very quickly and you kind of have to speed line plot points to get to that point so you can get to the good parts of the story in the sitcom. And you only got 30 minutes to do it, or an hour if you get a little bit more time. So in a sitcom, it makes sense. In a book, it feels forced. So I had that dilemma reading this book because sometimes I wanted to be critical and other times I was like, wait a minute, this is based off a sitcom. It's really on point for how an episode of the Golden Girls would go, that there would be a tension between Rose and Dorothy about this and then Sophia have to come in and resolve it like that. So I was like, is this brilliant or is this bad writing? Both? It was that moment. It's like, I'm reading a Golden Girls murder mystery. I need to stop expecting perfection here.
I need to stop expecting this to read like a normal book.
Like Sherlock Holmes. This is supposed to be Golden Girls here. Of course they get mad at each other and then resolve the issue very quickly. Basically, they realize that everything seems to be going wrong with what Rose is doing for the wedding. I think it also comes to a head at the bridal shower where everything's going perfectly. They're following all the St. Olaf traditions.
Which is a literal shower, by the way.
Literal shower where they're nude. That was hilarious. Well, some of the girls wear
bathing suits,
like robes or stuff like that, but Rose goes full nude with all the other St. Olaf women because apparently that's their tradition.
And because it's a book, they are able to delve into it a little more.
I was about to say, on the show they would just say this happened off screen, but in the book you can actually be like, Rose gets naked. You don't see anything, so it doesn't matter.
Well, I just meant that Rose is able to really think about what it meant for when she got married. Because yeah, they could say that, but she was able to have this moment and have memories of it and talk about how spiritual almost that was for her.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of a book is unlike the TV show, you can really get the perspective of the girls. You really get behind Rose and you hear her internal monologue of how she thinks and what she feels. And the same with Dorothy. You really see Dorothy's perspective. In a TV show, you really got a show where in a book you can just tell because you're hearing their inner voice and what they think.
And they would play it for laughs way more.
Way more. And I think that kind of flaws the book a little bit. I didn't feel like there were many funny moments. And I think it's because it was more self-reflective than it was gags and gaffes.
Yeah, it was much more serious.
It was much more serious. Yeah. I mean, it has its funny moments, but I never really laughed out loud like the show. And to the author's credit, I think that's near impossible because for a book, you have to be the person's perspective, their POV, what they're thinking at that moment. It's hard to get laughs out of that.
Plus, it's hard because she does do the one-liners that, like Sophia does or just random people, whoever. And it just doesn't come across as well reading it. We both read it in the character's voice.
We did, yeah. I asked when I started, did you read everyone in their voices? And you were like, of course.
But without the performance of B. Arthur or Betty White or any of the other ones actually saying the lines, sometimes I'm like,
Yeah, it was just tough. It is hard to convey
The flow.
the dynamic and flow of the TV show in a novel. It felt stilted, and I don't think that's the author's fault because she's working with a different medium. This isn't a show. It can't do sight gags. You can't have perfect timing. It's really hard to convey that in a novel. So she was working against the grain. It's really tough to convey that.
And it took some getting used to on my part. I was reading the first couple chapters. I was like, this feels weird, a little clunky. All right, I need to think of this more like the show than as a book. And that kind of helped. So even when she tried for the humor of it, it's not the same.
It's not the same, which I don't want to fault her too much. Yeah.
She does her best.
She does her best. And she gets the characters right. I mean, their personalities are exactly what they are in the show. It's just the dynamic is missing.
Yeah.
It's just hard to get that playoff of characters bouncing off one another like the show does in a novel form. I mean, she tries to put them in scenarios. It just kind of falls flat, unfortunately. But yeah, it's the bridal shower, and then everything's going right for Rose, and she thinks everything's finally working out. And then the cops show up to arrest Dorothy. It causes everyone to be upset and everything to fall apart. And that's when, after Dorothy gets interrogated, she comes back. Rose is upset with Dorothy. Sophia tells her to,
knock it off.
Yeah, knock it off. She'd do anything for you. And they all together realize that if they want to help Rose, they need to help Dorothy. They need to clear Dorothy's name so the police stop interrupting the wedding ceremonies because of Dorothy's involvement.
Yes.
So it all turns to them trying to figure out who actually killed this man so they can clear Dorothy's name. That kind of is how the whole murder mystery part comes together.
Yes. So as they go along, they start to learn more and more about this dude. And the police are pretty sure it's this guy who goes on dates with women and steals from them.
Well, that's what they accuse the guy Dorothy went on a date with. I forget his name, Fred or something. Who knows?
Oh, his name is Henry.
Henry. So Dorothy feels confused because they're telling her Henry was this con man who would con women out of her money. And she was just like, wow, that shocks me because he just didn't seem like that.
Is my sus vibes just that off?
Yeah, that's what she wonders. But they basically are trying to figure out, well, who would hate this man so much, this Henry, that they would want to kill him? Probably a jaded lover or a husband of a jaded lover. Who knows? So they're trying to figure out who would kill this Henry guy.
And they just so set on Dorothy. I didn't get it.
I didn't either. It felt forced. And again, is this sitcom where it's like, well, of course it feels forced. You can't stray away from the main characters of the sitcom. But as a book, you're like, man, the police feel incompetent. Why are they focusing so hard on this poor woman who just went on one date with the guy?
That one I'm actually going to blame on the book genre.
Really?
Cozy books are notorious for first book being, oh no, the police think I did it.
Yeah, it's true. That is a very common trope.
Prevalent trope. But he didn't steal anything from her. Nothing's missing. They go on one date. Yeah, they had an argument, but...
And they catch her in like one lie, but it wasn't really a lie. Yeah, but because of all these things, they're like, you're our number one suspect. And you're like, really? Really?
What about people that he actually stole from? Have we considered those people? No, we haven't.
Yeah. So yeah, they start investigating people, and I don't know. This is where, again, I feel the plot adds a lot of stuff that isn't needed. It just feels like all these side things happen that just feel out of place, which do come together in the plot at the end, but I'm just like... It never felt like a full picture for me.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where Rose and her niece get kidnapped by this guy in a taxi. And I'm like, who's this guy? And you come to find out that the guy who died in the freezer, Henry, I'll put in quotation marks right now, was working with this guy for a drug cartel or something. But you don't really learn that until he kidnaps them. It felt like so interjected into the story that I was like, who is this person? Like, oh, this guy worked with the person who was killed. I was like, when was this implication anywhere in the book? It felt very like, let me add extra plot points to this whole murder.
So to explain that a little bit more, it's your least favorite plot line.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I was so upset.
So what ends up happening is
Out of nowhere,
the
bride, Rose's niece, says, I think Henry's just marrying me for the money, and I'm so upset with him, and I'm calling the whole wedding off and going to the airport. And I was like, where did this come from? The night before, they were at like a bachelorette party at a club, and everything was fine. And then out of nowhere, she's like, I don't trust this man. I'm not marrying him. If he really loves me, he'll chase me down and elope with me. I was like, where did this come from?
wedding jitters.
I guess.
But yeah, it is pretty out of nowhere.
But if it was that, the book should have implied that in some way. But as a reader, I felt
very jarring.
Out of nowhere, this woman suddenly is taking off. And what you needed was, in writing, you need an instigating moment. You need something to instigate that kind of reaction. There was none of that. Rose just shows up because she gets a call saying, I can't do this. I can't trust Henry. He's only marrying me for the money. What spurred this? You seemed fine last night. Where did this come from? You can't just do this.
Yeah. Which, small interjection, Sophia hires the clown and it turns out to be a clown stripper.
Okay, that was one of the genuine funny moments.
Which was really funny because I knew she was going to do it. I just knew it. And then it happened because you were completely caught off guard.
I had no idea. Because Rose said in Olaf tradition, you hire a clown for the bachelorette party. And she's like, I remember my clown. He was so funny with the balloons, and me and my husband or fiance loved it. So I just thought it would be an awkward moment. It's like a guy in a clown suit being like, why am I even here? But apparently you were cued in that Sophia was like, here's a clown for adults.
Yeah, she kept complaining that all of them were for children.
Yeah.
But the funny thing with Sophia, I was saying, is I knew it was going to happen, but I didn't know if it was on purpose or not.
Oh, yeah. And you find out Sophia
did it by accident.
Which, who assigned Sophia to do that? That was just bound to happen when you give Sophia a task like that. You got to get a clown. She gets a stripper clown.
I think that's hilarious. But yes. Which, by the way, speaking of drop subplots, one of the chapter ending was, my dress is gone. And Rose going, I'll be there first thing in the morning. That doesn't happen. They never talk about the dress ever.
They never talk about it until the very end. The guy's like, I even stole the dress to try to ruin this wedding. And you're just like, oh yeah, the dress is stolen. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, completely dropped.
Completely dropped. Yeah.
But she's going to go to the airport, so they get into a taxi, and turns out, actually, the taxi driver is
kidnapping them.
He's not the murderer. He's just involved with the murderer.
Yes. And again, I felt like I was out of nowhere. You suspect to be the murderer, but it's this random guy you had no clue was even part of the plot that's randomly going to kidnap them. It felt so added on.
The villain ruins their own plot.
Oh, don't even. When we get there, I'm going to tear into this whole climax. I had issues with it.
If he hadn't done that, I don't think they would have figured it out. But oh well. He kidnaps him. It's a very scary scene. The groom ends up rescuing them in a very heroic way, which works out because for whatever reason, the St. Olafians decided that he has to do an act of heraldry to be considered. At that point, I was just annoyed with them.
I was. And again, it doesn't have a payoff. You just find out there was no nefarious reason behind it other than the very lame, oh, we thought you were to Miami now. You didn't think you're a real person from St. Olaf. I felt like random stuff they would throw on poor Rose. They clearly are trying to sabotage this wedding, but they weren't. They were just being
doofuses.
It didn't feel fulfilling.
Yeah, because it literally ends with them going, we've changed our minds. It doesn't matter if she does the St. Olaf traditions or not. She'll get the money.
We only added random weird things because we're weird. That's all. There was no actual reason to add to the plot.
And it was so frustrating because Rose forgives him immediately. And I'm just like, that's being bad family.
But yeah, the whole taxi kidnapping thing.
It was exciting, though. I mean, that was pretty exciting.
Kind of, but if you cut out that character and you cut out that whole scene, nothing would have been lost.
I don't know. I liked the scene in the end.
It felt like filler. It felt like I got to flesh this story out a little bit more. So I'm adding this whole thread and that begins and ends because it's just silly. After that, to get back to the main plot.
They sneak into his house.
Yeah, Dorothy and the girls find out where where Henry lived, and they're trying to sneak into his house, and they're like, shh.
And that scene's actually kind of hilarious.
It's kind of funny because they're trying to shove Sophia through the dog door, and the police show up, so they push Sophia in and all try to hide on the deck, and the police walk up and like, so we could see all of you. Their hiding places are just absolutely terrible. And they're like, you can't break into this house. That's breaking the law. And they're like, we weren't trying to break into the house. And then Sophia's head shoots out of the dog doors.
How dare you?
Yeah, I know. It's terrible.
How dare you shove me in there? What do you think I am?
So they're about to get in big trouble because they were trying to break into Henry's house. And wouldn't you know it, who shows up on his boat, because the house apparently is next to a dock, but Henry. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, I didn't see this coming. You did.
I 100% did. Though I thought it was more elaborate. I thought there was a bigger way it played into the plot. I thought that Dorothy accidentally went on a date with Henry's brother because there was lots of foreshadowing. Henry kept mentioning his brother and how he had issues with his brother. He didn't get along with him very well.
I forgot he had a brother.
And so when Dorothy went on this date and the guy was acting weird the whole time, I was convinced, oh, this guy's his twin brother. It's the brother he always has issue with because he didn't know who Dorothy was. He kept asking inappropriate questions. He kept trying to hide his face. I was convinced that, oh, this twin brother accidentally went on the date with Dorothy. He saw the actual Henry walk in and he was trying to hide the fact that he's on the date with Dorothy and that the Henry thought, oh, Dorothy stood me up. I gave it too much credit. Apparently this was the Henry. The person who died in the freezer was his twin brother. He did have a twin brother, but Henry was on the date with Dorothy. He just was acting weird because he saw his brother. Apparently his brother was in trouble with a drug cartel and Henry was trying to help his brother escape, but the night he was supposed to meet him on his boat to take him out of the country, he never showed up, and that's because he died in the freezer. So the real Henry finds out from the girls and the police that are at his house that his twin brother was the one who died in the freezer.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. I didn't see that coming, so that was pretty crazy for me. You got half of it.
I got half of it.
Because you told me your theory, and I was like, well, dang, okay.
Oh, yeah, finally. Usually I don't impress you. When I say, hey, I think this, usually afterwards you tell me, like, I thought that way sooner than you did. I picked up way sooner on that.
No, you did it good. I did not see that coming.
I did it good. It might have helped that I kept thinking, this is a sitcom. What would a sitcom do? Twin brother.
I was not as tuned into as you were.
I watched too much TV, apparently.
But yeah, that's crazy.
So now, what was Henry's brother's name? I can't even remember. Did you write it down?
His brother's name was Morty.
Oh, I don't know why I remember that. That means death. But yeah, Morty is the dead person. So they figured out Henry's not dead, but then the question is, who killed Morty? So this is where I feel like...
it kind of falls apart.
The climax comes and it's just, I'm going to say it, it's not good. It is badly executed and just absolute mess and sloppy, and it felt not fulfilling at all when the girls figure out who the killer is.
Okay, so just to explain it a little bit better, the groom has a sister who is married.
And she runs the hotel.
She's basically the general manager.
Yeah, the parents are there, but they're more concerned with rubbing shoulders with the elites of Miami. Their daughter, Patricia, I think her name was, is the actual one who runs the hotel, and she's always stressed out about it. And she has a husband named Chip, and Chip just seems like kind of like a, I don't know. Schmoozer. He's all wearing nice clothes and fancy watches. And
he convinced us to have a really nice cigar bar, and oh my goodness, all the famous people.
You can tell he's all puff and prompt, and the parents probably like that. And anyways, so he's introduced at the beginning of the story, and that's it. You don't see him or really think about him the rest of the story. So that's -1.
Yeah, he gets brought up again at the end, where he's like, oh yeah, I do know this colonel, because they're told that, oh no, Big Sugar, and they think that's a person
who's the drug cartel person.
Yeah, and so that means sugar as in drugs. And then something about the colonel, and so Chip is like, yeah, the colonel hangs out at the cigar bar.
Yeah, well, they figure out that Chip hangs out with the colonel, so they ask Patricia and Chip, and Patricia and Chip come over to bring them food and apologize and explain that the parents are not going to disinvite everyone to the wedding. They're actually invited now, and they're okay with the traditions. That's all resolved with no issue again. Again, I felt that whole, the parents are going to be so stubborn and control the wedding is such weak sauce through the whole thing, because they pull it all back without any conflict conflict. It all happens off screen anyways. But Chip's like, oh yeah, I asked and it's a different governor. It's not the same governor. Colonel.
Or governor. Is it governor?
No, I think it's Colonel.
It's Colonel, I think.
So you're like, well, that's sus, and that's not a very good way to dodge that susness. So he's introduced at the beginning of the story. He comes back with his wife to say, oh, the parents have changed their mind. Everything's good. And then he invites them all to a boat party.
For a dress rehearsal.
And he meets them all at the dock, and he has this little dinghy boat and says, oh, the boat's already out into the bay, and I'm going to drive everyone out there. So all the girls and the bride and groom get in the boat with him, and he starts driving them out late at night out to the bay, and they're all just very dumb, like, oh yeah, we're going out there. And then he decides to try to kill them all.
Yeah, this is his grand plan. There is no dress rehearsal. There is no boat.
There is no dress rehearsal. He's going to throw them all out of this boat. That's his grand plan. That was really stupid. What was he thinking?
Well, he was also really stupid for having a body at the hotel that he works at.
I mean, fair, but it felt so unfulfilling. He throws the bride out and the groom jumps after her.
No, he sends out the groom first and then the bride.
And Rose tries to grab the bride, but I think Dorothy stops her. And they're acting like being thrown in the water is like death. And I'm like, can they not swim? I mean, this isn't killing them.
Yeah.
If he threatened to shoot them or hit them over the head and knock them unconscious, yeah, but he just throws them out of the boat. And I'm like, that doesn't kill people. This isn't smart.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little worried about the older women doing it, but yeah.
I get kind of the older women, but even then, I'm like, he has no weapon. He has no guarantee this is going to kill them. It was just out of left field.
Yeah.
It felt so unfulfilling. I was like, this is the climax, him trying to throw them out of a boat.
Long story short, he and the general are doing a smuggling and drug running.
You said general again. Are you sure it's not general and not colonel?
It is the general. I'm looking at my notes now. It is the general.
Okay, so I was right. It is general.
Well, I think you said the governor. Who knows? He's not that important.
Governor. Okay. You said colonel. I said governor. General was like our consensus. You know it was military rank, and I knew it started with a G, so.
But he's just not that important, honestly. He's like the gangster or whatever, but not in the book. But Chip was going to be this dude's second in command in this smuggling ring, and Morty was working for them, doing smuggling stuff, but he was skimming off the top and got caught in the act, and so attacked Chip first, stabbed him in the foot, which Chip has been limping apparently this whole time.
Which never is really shown. Gets this whole, oh, I heard someone limping through the lobby, and there's no mystery, it's nothing. It's just all of a sudden you're like, oh, he has a limp.
At the very end, oh, he's walking with a limp, helping him get into the boat.
Which the women don't even be like, that's suspect. They just completely ignore that.
I was like, oh no.
It was so badly executed.
And so that's why he killed him, kind of in self-defense, kind of angry because he was skimming off the top.
Exactly. So he killed him because he was going to betray him and leave.
And the women who were nowhere close to figuring this out.
Nowhere, they were trusting them, man.
You don't need to murder them. Honestly, if you had just kept your cool, I don't think they would have thought of you ever.
Yeah. If you had just laid low and not do your whole drug smuggling like you wanted to with Big Sugar, you would have been fine. But instead, you tried to drown them out in a boat, and not very well, I might add.
I know. He was not on their radar.
The real mystery was Henry. She put too much focus on this whole Henry's dead, and we got to figure out what happened to Henry. So the real climax, which shouldn't have been the climax, was finding out that Henry had a twin brother. The Chip thing just felt like it had to be tacked on. We had to resolve who actually killed Morty. So the problem was she shouldn't have put so much focus on Henry's twin brother, on the whole twin plot. It should have been more on the mystery of who killed him. It got sideshowed by the whole dating woe thing.
Also the wedding.
Oh, yeah.
There was so much wedding, and I get that it's the A plot, but should it have been?
It shouldn't have been. Well, the problem is it built so much conflict that didn't truly get resolved. The whole, they don't want to do this because they want to get eloped, resolved way too easily and quickly. The parents want to control everything, resolved way too quickly and easily. The dress is missing, resolved way too quick and easily. All these problems that kept getting drawn out and spun around over and over again, they get stretched, the anxiety of the problem over the whole book, and then it takes one paragraph to say, oh, it was all resolved. solved.
Yeah.
You can't do that. It's such a... Ugh.
Nothing caused me to realize the error of my ways. I have just realized them.
And the moral. There was no moral learned. It just all felt pointless at the end. The conflict didn't feel natural.
And it really felt like the A plot should have been the murder.
Yes.
Because this is a cozy mystery series, and the B plot should have been the wedding. But they made the wedding the A plot.
And the B plot, the murder, and the murder felt so tacked on, and the wedding never even got a proper resolution. It just felt very... And everything went fine.
You're too suspicious, Rose, thinking the worst of everyone.
Oh, gosh.
Rose realized that she needed to rethink her things, but she refused to think badly of everybody. Okay.
She had to question everyone, even though she never once questioned Chip. He wasn't even mentioned in the novel the whole time. She just kept questioning people that had nothing to do with the murder.
Villain ruins their own plot. It's a little bit funny, though, because Sophia's the one that ends up hitting him over the head and knocking him out. I think with her bag. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, her bag, yeah. But it just, it was executed. Mostly the climax makes or breaks a book. And the climax was very poorly executed in this book.
But even the ending is so focused on the wedding. Cool, we figured it out, but
wedding.
We're now going to talk about how, okay, this is actually really sweet. Because she doesn't have a wedding dress, Dorothy and Rose stay up super late and sew Nettie's wedding dress out of Rose's old wedding dress.
They do.
That was very sweet. But also, can you tell me they're the main characters? You mean Blanche and Sophia don't know how to sew?
But that's a good example. You had the problem of the dress was missing. It's brought up once, never really plays into the plot. And then at the end, you got a really cool resolution where Rose uses her dress, but it's not executed well. It's told like, oh, thank you so much, Aunt Rose, for letting me use your wedding dress. Oh, we stayed up all night sewing it.
Yeah.
That's a fumbled execution.
It bothers me because she said specifically, I will come to you first thing in the morning, and then it's just not brought up until the end.
Yeah. Anyways, the negatives are out of the way. Those are the negatives. They're big negatives, but...
There's also a D plot, because we have those in this book, about Blanche liking this 20-something.
Oh my gosh, don't even get it, because that never went anywhere.
She has a thing for this 20-year-old who's the best man, but he actually ends up having an affair with this married woman that's a friend of the groom's parents, and he ends up getting a black eye from the husband.
So much attention to this, and it starts with such being part of the story of Blanche is flirting with this guy. Blanche scoots it next to him on the seat. Blanche is thinking about him. Oh, they tease her because Blanche wants to see him. Oh no, they see this guy with the married woman. Blanche is going to be so upset. Had nothing to do with anything.
But also, like, he's still the best man. This dude had an affair with one of your parents' friends, but also work together, and you're gonna still have him be the best man in this wedding? Whatever.
Why include any of that? For flavor, I guess?
Because Blanche has to flirt with a young man. That's how this works.
It felt shoehorned in.
It did. It fell off, too.
I think, and I hate to do this, because it'd be like, let me compare this TV episode to Shakespeare, but I'm comparing a cozy murder mystery to Agatha Christie. There's a little bit of a disconnect there, because you're comparing it to high literature. But The Murder on the Nile, when I read that book with you, every insignificant thing brought up felt like it tied back. Even all the red herring stuff that didn't directly connect to the main murder still felt connected. Nothing was shared that didn't have a point. Any little tidbit came at the end to mean something. So you never felt like anything shared felt superfluous or useless or needless. That if you had cut that part out, it would have cut from something important from the story. And that's the book with a lot of red herrings where he keeps calling people in. You think, oh, this is the murderer, but it's not the murderer because it's actually they're trying to do this.
Yeah.
But all these little clues, you get resolutions to them. This is where this book falters because, for example, the whole Blanche and the young man thing, you could cut all that out and added nothing to the story. It is not needed.
It takes away from the important stuff.
And you could argue, be like, well, I wanted to show this is Blanche, right? You can't have Blanche without her flirting, right? And I'm like, yeah.
Well, then why did you make it such a big thing?
Why'd you make it too big, right? She flirts with other men too, but it didn't feel like it was needed for the real story. It felt like dead weight. And there's just little things like that throughout. Not all of it, of course. I think all the St. Olaf stuff was important, but even then, you felt you wanted that significant Rose learns her lesson. So even then, you felt like it was a little short.
Yeah. I did like the traditions that this author came up with, like the wedding shower actually being a shower.
A shower, yeah.
That was pretty good.
So I guess we've been saying a lot of negative. I'd like to say positives. I agree with you. That is a positive. I think she nailed it with having both endearing and funny and really smart St. Olaf traditions. She really fleshed out Rose's character.
Oh, yeah. And like I said, she gives really significant, it's not just throwaway lines like the herring circus and this, that, and the other thing that they do all the time in the TV show. She's really fleshed it out. What is the meaning behind each one of these?
Yeah, it was really well done. Like, you think, oh, that's silly, but then they do it and like, oh, I see the significance of this.
It really felt like a town with traditions.
With traditions, yeah. She knocked those out of the park. I thought
Dorothy's great.
Her internal conflict about will she find love, I think she was spot on. I was really drawn in. I think she nailed Dorothy on the head with her character in this book. So there were positives. There were definite positives. It's just the murder mystery part was lacking.
Yeah. And also continuity errors. Like at the ending, all three of the girls are outside, but then a couple paragraphs later, Rose and Blanche are waiting inside, and some editing stuff. I think a lot of editing issues.
Yeah, usually I don't notice editing errors, like typos and stuff. You usually notice them a lot more than I do, but even I noticed a few. You could tell this book was rushed.
Because all IP work is rushed. I don't know why.
It is. It's not, I don't want to be mean to the author. It's not schlock, but it's definitely like, you can't do this on your own merits. You have to ride the back of the IP. So we're not going to give you the full attention and funding and credit that you deserve. So it's not a fault of the author. It's probably the fault of the publisher being like, this is a Golden Girls murder. You know, it's something to sell at a kitsch store.
We have to get out. We have to go. We have to go. We have to go. People like Golden Girls right now.
We're not going to waste money with really good editors. We're just going to do the bare minimum and get it out because people are going to buy it because they like Golden Girls, not because they think it's going to be some great murder mystery book.
We've convinced the publishers that Golden Girls is red hot right now. We have to go now, now, now.
Exactly. So you could tell that it needed probably more editing.
Always the editing.
It's on the publisher. They just want to get that IP stuff out there.
So I'm hoping it gets a little bit better, but we'll see how this one proves itself. But yeah, it ends with feeding Cheesecake.
It does.
Talking about other things we liked, I do love the chapter titles.
Yes, they were well done. And the little graphics, and I don't know, she conveys Miami really well. I feel she does convey it, not just Miami, but 1980s Miami. I think she does well.
Yeah, I like listening to music while I'm reading because it helps me concentrate. There's no Golden Girls soundtrack. The whole soundtrack for the music they use consists of like less than 10 minutes, including the theme song. So I was like, well, what do I listen to? And it mentions at least twice Cuban jazz. And I was like, yeah, I'll listen to that. And so I ended up listening to soft Cuban jazz, and it was very appropriate.
Yes. So yeah, they do that well with Miami and 1980s-esque feel to it all.
This is not a lost cause.
Yes, I would suggest it to people.
Especially if they like Golden Girls.
Especially if they like Golden Girls. I wouldn't say like, you got to read this book. It'd be more like, hey, you like Golden Girls. You should read this book. I think it would be entertaining.
Yeah, because just to go into general thoughts, this book made me want to watch the show again, which I think is
the point.
I think that, first of all, monetary-wise and business-wise, yes, that's the point. But I think it did good enough job where I'm like, I really enjoy this IP. It didn't ruin anything for me. It didn't be like, ew, why are you doing this? This is horrible. I hate what you've done with this. Cough, cough, Twisted Tales.
That's just because you just finished a Twisted Tales that upset you.
It didn't upset me. I'm just baffled at the artistic choices. But yeah, it gave me the Golden Girls feels, and that's what I wanted. I feel like I got my money's worth.
Yeah, it does what they intended it, which is to make you like Golden Girls. So you go get more Golden Girls.
If you liked the TV show and you're like, man, I'm so sad that this is the end of the IP, you know, all of them have passed away at this point. So there's so many shows getting revivals or podcasts by the cast and Prue. And so it's just like, we don't have anything Golden Girls coming. If they did a revival and had different actresses, ew, I don't even want to touch that.
Yeah, I hope they don't. Though I feel there's been spiritual successors.
Yes.
That, I think, is what they need to lean into. Not, let's redo the Golden Girls. It's more like, let's try to make this have the same feel as the Golden Girls.
Yeah, and especially just its place in comedy and sitcoms and establishing the four where three of them are the same and one of them's different, and that's taken and even used today. So we could do spiritual successors, but if you want more of the IP, I actually do think the book route isn't a bad way to go.
It's not bad. I don't want us dissing this book to discourage them to explore more with the series.
Because they really care about our personal... No, I'm kidding.
I know this whole thing we're recording is going to make or break this book right now. I'm sure all 98 people who are listening to this.
I don't want to discourage any readers out there from giving this a try.
Yes, definitely give it a try if you're a fan of Golden Girls.
Just know what you're getting into a little bit.
Yes, I would suggest it to Golden Girl fans. I would not suggest it to murder mystery fans.
If you're a cozy mystery fanatic, it fits in the genre. There's some things it does really well, but this wouldn't be the first one.
Yeah, I feel if you don't like Golden Girls, you won't like this book. That is its flaw. It would be better if, even if you didn't like Golden Girls, you would like this book, but it fails in its murder mystery part. And because of that, you have to like Golden Girls.
Yeah, that's a lot of the appeal, yes.
Yes, that is a little asterisk to this whole book, is you have to like Golden Girls.
But if you like Golden Girls, please give it a try.
Please give it a try. And maybe they'll improve. Maybe if the later books are good, then you'll just have to read this book to get to the better parts that are murder mystery.
Yeah, so we will see. One question for the author. Which Golden Girl is she? The author? Which one? We all have one. I asked you earlier.
You did. And I've always said you're a Sophia.
Yes, and apparently you find kinship with Dorothy.
My question's similar to yours. It's the same I asked you when I was reading it, which is, who's your favorite character, which is different from who do you think you are?
I think it's Rose.
I think it's Rose. If she got one shot at this, she was going to make Rose shine, because she did. I mean, most of the book is around Rose.
Because even though Dorothy's one of the narrators...
And she captures Dorothy really well. The whole story is centered around Rose.
It's Rose.
Rose is the star.
Rose, 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 Rose.
So I would be surprised if Rose is not her favorite.
I would be shocked if she's like, no, Blanche is my favorite character.
Which, if someone said to me, hey, we want you to write a Golden Girls murder mystery, Dorothy would be my main character.
Dorothy is a great detective. She would be the best detective.
She would. Missed opportunity. I told you before I started this, is like, I hope there's a scene where Dorothy gathers everyone into the...
Lanai.
Yeah, the lanai, which in murder mystery, it's usually like the clock room or something where everyone gathers together. Then the detective shares what they found out and reveals the murder. But they had a missed opportunity where Dorothy gathered everyone on the lanai to share who the murderer was. That's how I would have wrote my Golden Girls murder mystery. My two focus would have been Dorothy and Sophia, and Blanche and Rose as side characters.
See, I would have done a Dorothy and Blanche, because I think they are really good opposites in that Dorothy can be like facts and clues and no nonsense, but Blanche can be the sweet side where she can talk to people and she can get information out of them that they wouldn't want to share.
Yeah, Dorothy's the intelligence of the detective, where Blanche is the charisma of the detective.
That would be my pairing if I was doing this.
Yeah, that would be a good pairing.
Rating, I would give this lactose-free cheesecake out of 10. It's still pretty good, but there's a difference.
There's a difference, yeah.
My problem with lactose-free cheesecake is not most of it. Most of the cheesecake tastes great. It's the crust. The crust just isn't very good, and that's how I feel about this book. For the most of it, I feel like actually they get it right, but the foundation of the book, the fact that Rose is the A plot and Dorothy is the B plot in a cozy mystery book, I think it's wrong, and I think that foundation is what holds it back.
Yeah. A lanai out of 10?
Lanai out of 10.
It is uniquely Golden Girls. You know, lanai was not even really known in the lexicon until Golden Girls.
No.
People didn't even know what that was called until the Golden Girls. So I call it a lanai out of 10 because it's only famous because of Golden Girls.
That is fair.
And this book is only going to sell and be enjoyed by people because of Golden Girls.
Read again. I'd read this again. You don't have to. You never read anything ever again. You already said you'd recommend it, though.
I would. I mean, I think that says high praise, but to ask me to read it again is a high bar for any book. And this is a definite no. I just couldn't return to it. There's no reason to for me, but I would recommend it.
I'd read it again, though. It gave me the Golden Girls feels, and that's kind of what I care about here.
It's a comfort food.
Yeah.
It's like cheesecake.
But have you read this book? Which Golden Girl are you? We're trying to find our Rose and Blanche here. Do you have any book recommendations for us? Tell us all about it in the comments below. If you liked the video, hit like. And if you're enjoying yourself, hit subscribe for more. Thank you for exploring Murder by Cheesecake with us. Join us next time when we'll be covering The Tale of Despero by Kate DiCamillo. I'm Sam Reiner.
And I'm James Reiner.
And we hope to see you and a friend here next time. Escape With Me Book Club is a Lunar Skulk production. Check us out on TikTok or Instagram to keep up to date with us. Lunar_SKULK.